Hello, honorable judges and fellow participants. Before I begin my speech, I would like to introduce myself first as the first speaker of the opponent team. My name is Raiza Novia. I am from SMA Negeri 1 Rembang. I firmly believe that companies and individuals should not criminalize for not recycling. Recycling itself is the process of collecting, sorting, and reprocessing waste materials such as papers, plastics, glasses, and metals into new products. It converts discarded items into valuable raw materials, reducing the need for virgin resources, lowering pollution, and decreasing landfill waste. Before I begin my arguments to explain why we should not criminalize companies and individuals for not recycling, I would like to point out my rebuttal for the proponent team. The proponent claimed that if we criminalize companies or individuals for not recycling, it will save resources and prevent pollution. The logic is wrong because not all materials are usable after being recycled and can be recycled. For the example, there's a chemical waste from factories that can't be recycled. So, should the factories be criminalized because of that? Of course, the answer is not. The factory was just producing goods for all of the people, even if it creates pollution or chemical waste. They can't recycling the waste materials, that is chemical waste. Besides that, it can unintendedly create pollution. And for the individuals, there's some product that non-recyclable. There is some styrofoams, pads, and tissues that that cannot be recycled. Now let's move on to my arguments, which are going to explain why we should not criminalize companies and individuals for not recycling. First, lack point of education. It remains unfair to criminalize all strata of society, which is all of the people have different background, education background and economic background, because not all people get the access to learn about how to recycling the trash. Especially when it comes to people who live in the countryside. They tend to have limited access in the education. Even it's possible that there is no school there. There are so many children that should get education about little things like the waste materials. There are many people that refuse to get in touch with outside environment, like ethnic groups such as Badui ethnic, Asmat ethnic, etc. They are still a human who's eating, consuming, and living. So there will be some waste or trashes that remain spilled up. But they don't have much education about how to recycle the waste. They don't know how to recycle the waste. Should they get criminalized because of that? Second, recycle takes so much money, resources, and technologies. Recycle means we have to reprocessing waste materials into new products that are usable. But the process is not that simple because we have a lack of technologies. Now take a look at some factories that produce goods and waste materials. The factories must use adequate technologies to recycling the waste materials. It will cost a large amount of money to buy those technologies. Why does the technologies are horribly expensive? That's because Indonesia could not afford to make those technologies. So we are lack of technologies. The factory must buy those by import. And the root problem of that is the education things. There is a lack of education between all the people with the different strata. It's cheaper for the factories to use virgin materials than recycled materials. Third, it's hard to implement the rule in Indonesia. Indonesia is a country with a large amount of population. Majority of them are lazy to be educated and learn, especially about waste materials. Take a look at Jakarta, the capital city. They often flooded because of piled up trashes. Years per years, they still often get flooded with the same cause. That means many of the society are not learning from their mistakes. The root problem is because they dump the trash in any place and it's called normal just like a culture. I suggest that incentives are more effective than penalties. First, the government should focus more on education and making recycling easier. It's simply by just giving some young generation education about how to recycling the trash. Second, offer lower waste collection fees for those who recycle or pay consumers for returning materials, just like bottle deposit schemes. Last, encourage industries to reduce packaging at the source rather than just managing the waste afterward. In summary, I believe that while recycling is important, making it a criminal offense is overreach, especially when the system itself is often inadequate to handle the waste produced. With a large amount of people that are having different education and economic background, it remains unfair if the government criminalized all of them for not recycling the waste. And for those reasons, I am in the side of the cons. Thank you very much.